Welcome to the Battletech Podcast.
Hallo und willkommen zur neuesten Folge vom Battlepod. Heute live von der PhoenixCon und mit mir ist einmal der Jan von der PhoenixCon. Hallo Jan.
Hi.
Und der Meldrik. Hallo Meldrik. Hallo. Und dann unser Special Guest Randall. Hallo Randall.
Hallo.
So, wir werden das Interview auf Englisch führen. Dementsprechend ist der Rest, der folgt, auf Englisch. Ich wünsche euch ganz viel Spaß und bis später. So, Randall. For the people in Germany or all over the world, who are you?
So I'm Randall Bills. I'm currently the creative director for Catalyst Game Labs, who currently publishes the Battletech game. I have been working on Battletech for a very long time now, and playing Battletech for even longer. So do you want me to tell the whole story? Because it could take up a little bit of time. I'm fine telling the story, but
tell us the special interesting stuff.
Well, I'm 13 and saw Robotech for the first time. And even before that, going back to G-Force and Spaceship Yamato and Voltron. So I already loved space, science fiction. I already loved giant robots. I saw Robotech and my mind was just blown. We recorded it on VCR tapes and I just endlessly rewatched it. And then I was at a game store. And at that time, in the US, there weren't really game stores. It was a hobby store that had like model trains, remote controlled airplanes, and then in a little tiny corner was a couple of game books. And I saw the Battletech. Actually, the first thing I saw was the Fox's Teeth adventure pack.
Oh, okay.
With that totally torn up mech that even today you can't quite tell what it is. It might be a Shadowhawk, it might not. Yeah. You're not sure. And I'm like, does that look like Robotech? I wasn't sure. And then like a week later, I was at another place and saw the second edition box. And I'm immediately like, oh, why is this? This is Robotech. Like it's got the STF symbol right on the leg. But it was called Battletech. And so I took me a month to buy it because I was doing a paper route because I'm like 13 at the time. It was a fair amount of money to buy at the time. And we raced over with my friends on bikes. We bought it. I got home. We immediately tore through the rules, played it totally wrong. But I played it once and that was it. I never can go back. So I've been playing it for almost 40 years now. At 39 years. And then fast forward 10 years and I've been playing it that entire time, loving it to death. We, just like you're doing here, we were running local conventions, running Battletech. I was living in Phoenix, Mesa, Tempe, Arizona, the southwest part of the United States, running local game conventions there. And Brian Neistel, who was the Battletech line developer at the time, was brought out as a guest, just like I'm here. And he was walking around with the technical readout 3057 under his arm, and it hadn't been released yet. And so I remember all of us trying to like figure out how we could steal it without stealing it, because I wasn't gonna steal, but can I just look at it?
Yeah.
And we had a great old time, and I had made a variant of the Succession Wars board game. So the Succession Wars is a large scale board, used a whole bunch of old school chits that you would put on the counters you'd put on it. We played it all the time. Every convention we would play it till sunup Saturday night. And I had made a 3039 version of it So the ComStar clock was added to it. And there's a little sideboard with ComStar armies, hidden armies, of course. And I jokingly said, hey, would you like to play this game? And he said yes. And of course, now I'm terrified that he's going to sit down, the Battletech line developer is going to sit down and play my game. So we played it all night long. He and the rest of my friends totally teased me about how terrible it is. And it is terrible. I still have it somewhere, but I had done it, right? I had made the whole thing. I had every counter hand made and drawn up, the whole thing. And so then the next year we had gone out to Gen Con. We then went down to FASA. And here I can tell you the geekiest thing that I may have ever done in my entire life. So we're at the FASA offices, and I'm trying to say to myself, I need to be calm. I need to be cool. And we walk in, and of course, it's the FASA offices, right? This is where the magic happens. These are all these people that are creatives and doing these great things. And come to find out, so this is 95. And so the Clan Homeworlds maps had not been published yet. And and Brian Neistel had a hand-drawn version of it up in his cubicle. And so we were literally distracting him so one of our friends could draw it onto his hand so that we could sneak out this crucial data that no one had ever seen before in Battletech. And so then right after that, FASA started to say, you know what, I think we need a line developer or an assistant line developer, somebody that could help all three lines. So at that time, it was Battletech, Shadowrun, and Earth Dawn. And they started asking around local. And of course, they're paying nothing because it's the gaming industry. And so no one wanted it. And then Brian was like, well, hey, what about that one guy that came out and visited? And of course, they're all like, you mean the guy that just ran around screaming and like, oh, I can't believe I'm here. And this is the moment I get to once again thank Brian, because if he had not said, you know what, I had another convention with him. I walked around with him. I think he might be the guy. Don't base it just on him coming here. And I give a big thank you, because without Brian saying that, I wouldn't be here. No. And so then emails were sent out, and I came out for the interview and I accepted. And then, so literally this coming February 1st will be 30 years. So February 1996 since I started. And then I've just kind of followed it everywhere it goes. I do a lot of other things. I develop other games. I help the whole company. I've helped Shadowrun, Leviathans, was my game that I did. I'm working on a My Hero Academia game. So I do lots and lots of different things. But one of my primary still concerns is to help Battletech get out the door, and I love it to death. I always give a shout out to Ray Rastia and Aaron Cahill, who are the current line developer and assistant line developer, and I just do all I can to empower them to get cool stuff out the door. And then I get chances to do this, go all over the world and sit down with this unbelievably amazing community we have and talk about this thing we love and roll some dice, and mine will betray me and I will lose. And that's how it goes. Yeah. So there's my I could go on and on and on about it, but that hopefully it wasn't too long to tell you the long story to get here.
Yeah. So, one of our biggest questions is when we go to Battletech, Germany and Europe. So the license was with Ulysses Spieler, and after they lost it, or they haven't it anymore, our question is: do you have, or Catalyst have plans for making an own? Will you publish it on own in different languages, or are you still searching for a partner, or do you have any plans?
We are, so we absolutely are looking and searching. I think it actually hurts my soul, because I've been coming to Germany for a long time now. I think the first time I came to Essen was 97. And all the years at FanPro when I came over as well. And so Germany is literally over the years has been the second largest community after the United States. So it hurts my soul that in this giant renaissance that we're having right now, there isn't a localized edition of the game. Part of that is that we have talked to quite a few publishers, and they just don't want to do it and it's primarily because of the plastics. Doing minis is just complicated, and you almost always have to do manufacturing overseas, and that makes it more complicated. But here at the show, I had some new interviews. I can't really say who, but absolutely we had some new interviews and are starting negotiations to figure out if we can find a partner to localize and get the game back in German. Absolutely.
So we talked in our podcast a little with the MacForce Germany. They tried to get a license. Could you tell us, I don't know if you can, why it didn't happen?
There's a lot of back and forth on that. I don't feel very comfortable actually answering that directly. I will say that they are one of the groups that we are still talking to see whether that might not work or not.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just, a lot going on in the world. And then the year that I was traveling, I traveled for almost 5 months. Was that last year? It was last year. And so that was as amazing it was, and it was fantastic to travel everywhere. I crisscrossed Germany constantly. The number of times I had to fly through Frankfurt was kind of crazy. But that also just meant that some of the things that suffered was some of these meetings and some of these negotiations. So with me not traveling nearly as much, it's making it a little easier to get some of that back up. So hopefully we'll have news sometime by the end of the year.
Oh, great.
We would love to be able to, finally make that happen and get this out in German.
Yeah. Okay. We're thrilled.
Yeah.
So, Meldrick, do you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I have written down some. Had some. It was quite a surprise to me to actually join this interview, so it was not that much time to figure out questions. But
that seems like a lot of questions.
Well,
just showing up.
That's when I start saying. The first thing that came to mind was when we were talking downstairs. There is kind of an official app for Alpha Strike, I think, right now. And I would like to hear your thoughts on what is the future of how is it going to continue, the app business, everything, and how does an app become an official app? I'm asking for a friend.
Well, we are always first, I guess, answering on the back end first, we're always willing to sit down and talk with people, right? I'm always willing to take an email. Sometimes it can take a while because we're all just incredibly busy. But we're always willing to talk, look at something. The presentation you did was fantastic. I would love to take further. It's part of why I want to see it in action, because there's some really cool possibilities there. I will say that the digital side is probably our weakest side of things. That's why it often just takes longer for us to do those projects and get them out the door, because we're often outsourcing that. That's not something we can do ourselves. We don't have that skill set. And when we've attempted to do it, it hasn't happened very well. And so, yeah, every time you see one of the Shadow and Dice Roller apps, or the Battletech Alpha Strike app, that's always done in coordination with another company. Often, people come to us and say, hey, we would love to do this because they're seeing that Battletech is exploding. Hey, this is great. We totally want to be a part of it. And then you start showing them what it will take to make an app that will work for Battletech, and nearly all of them will, slowly back out the door, just because the sheer complexity and the hundreds and hundreds of pieces of equipment and how it all is put together, the dozens of types of units, the thousands upon thousands of variants. And so it always ends up being a little more complex than anyone coming to the table expects it to be. So we continue to work. We're hoping to still provide that support for the Alpha Strike app. In fact, I believe I just saw an email that there's another batch of the sheets that are being generated to put into it. So we do want to support it. It just doesn't get nearly the support perhaps that the community may not, or the community may want, just because it's always done outside of ourselves. And so then we have to connect into that and help make it happen.
Yeah. As a follow-up for that, as a developer of an app myself, I'm always wondering how changes would come about. For example, if most of the apps that I know, and the one I developed as well, is depending heavily on the master unit list, obviously, because we cannot keep all the data ourselves. That's too much. And it's a very logical thing to rely on one central database.
Yeah.
Now there's talk in the internet about master unit list 2.0.
Yeah.
And everyone is wondering, when will it come? What will it do? How will it look like? And nobody knows anything really substantial about
So the master unit list is nearly done. I've been saying that for a while, but part of that was just, I don't want to get into specifics, but there was just a lot of real life crap that happened. I don't know any other way to say that for the people involved in that were working on it, from some floods that destroyed houses of some of the developers that were working on it, to it was unbelievable. So every snake eyes that can be rolled for the upgrade of this has happened. We are getting and even now we're now running into some server issues. We're one of the last ones that came out, that out of nowhere the server's having problems, and then trying to update. I could go on and on, but it is happening. It primarily, it's twofold. One is that the current was just made many, many, many years ago, and so it is painfully slow. And so part of it is just rebuilding it from scratch so that it's just incredibly fast. It can be, accessed from anything from a mobile device to a laptop to a table, and have it be really quick. It is the force builders that are provided in it work a lot better. There's a force builder in the one right now, but it's kind of finicky. Every time I'm building one, I almost have to open up multiple tabs to keep trying to go back and track things appropriately. So the force builder has been extensively expanded. The thing that I'm actually most excited about is that the classic record sheets are all incorporated into it. So just like now, where I can go up and build my force and then hit print, and it'll immediately PDF out all of the Alpha Strike cards and then print from there, it'll do the exact same thing for the classic record sheets.
Yeah.
So there's which even I'm excited, because every time I want to run a game at my local store, to then get the record sheets, I have a whole separate set of PDFs that then I have to go hunting through, and okay, where was that one variant? So I totally get how annoying that is, and that I think is one of the most exciting aspects of the 2.0, is just that you'll have them all at your fingertips, all built right into build the force, print them out right from there.
Another follow-up on that, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
I'm asking for all the developers out there. The point is that all the apps that are developed against the interface of the master unit list. So you're requesting a list and you get it back in a JSON form.
Mm-hmm.
And every developer I know would like to know if that format is going to change, because then you have to change everything.
That is a level of detail that I don't know, but email me and then I can go talk to the guy who's heading that up, and I can get that response for you. But off the top of my head, it's just a level that I don't know and I don't need to know, so they don't tell me.
Is that George? Is that still George?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah.
That might explain why I didn't answer my mails.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so again, feel free to drop me an email. Please wait a few days.
Yeah, all right. It's not
I need to get home, relax for a day, uncurl from the fetal position, get into emails. But I'm happy to dig that information up. I just got to go talk to the person who's leading that up.
There are plenty of possibilities there. For example, if you say that you have a force builder, for example, if the format is well-defined, like the answer that you get from the interface would be a well-defined JSON, we can all, for example, use the force builder in the master unit list and export all the units in the force right into an app, for example, where you don't have to do the manual putting the units into the app. Yeah. That would be fantastic. And that is possible if we have well-defined information of how it will work. So I will definitely drop you.
Yep.
I have a question about the master unit list.
Yeah.
For the people who don't know what the master unit list is, what is the master unit list?
So the master unit list is just a online database of all the gameplay units. And if you type in the Atlas, maybe that or the Warhammer's the first thing you know, it's going to bring up an illustration right out of one of the technical readouts. It's then going to have a line data for every single variant, and some of these mechs have 12, 18, 25 different variants that exist, and it'll have tonnage, battle value, all the basic data that you need as you're building your force. Currently right now, if you happen to be playing Alpha Strike, then the Alpha Strike card is right there. You can print it right out. When the 2.0 comes out, then you'll have the classic Battletech sheet that you'll be able to print right out. You can plug it into a force builder. It is the most used bits of data from anyone in the community, and particularly on the Alpha Strike side, because those cards are available. I know anyone involved in Alpha Strike play is using it all the time because it's just the simplest, easiest way to force build to get that data. And so, once it's updated, it's just going to be that much easier to use, that much more having players, whatever they want to do, whatever type of game they want to play. Hopefully that database is being used in a really good way to empower whatever you want to do at your table.
No. Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
So you got another question.
They
keep them coming.
popping up.
That's
into my mind.
what I'm here for.
About the master unit list, there was a discussion on the Discord server, and people were wondering. I was wondering. Recently, we have seen colored versions of the artwork for the units, for the mechs, and they are on. If you buy the premium classic record sheets, there are images of the units. And they are not the black and white drawings, they are full colored versions.
Correct.
And we had the discussion. I thought that, I was asking myself, will there be those pictures for all the units? And could they be accessed, for example, like in an app like mine, to just show them in connection to the unit? Some people say there's only a subset of all the units made.
There is only a subset, because basically what those are is once a unit has moved through the redesign process for our modern styling, and then has an STL that is being turned over for manufacturing, a clean render of that is made, and then we have one of our artists go through and put a digital paint on that. So those full colored only exist for the ones that have new STLs made for them. Now at this point we're at 200 plus and climbing, but it's still, a small subset of the total amount. And so we can't do it all at once. It's just not possible. But we've got a really good starting point, and it'll continue to go from there. But there is no way to just go, hey, let's do this. The amount of time and effort would be astronomical to just try to do it all at once.
The goal is to get them all.
Sure.
Yeah, right. Okay. I could go on.
So let's
He's gonna
switch. Yeah. So one question at a time. So at the moment there's a new playtest for the new Battletech rules.
Yep.
So you're right. There will be no 2.0 version. So it's more like an updated version of the current.
Yeah. So if you've been playing a really long time, because Total Warfare, I can't believe it's already almost 20 years old since that came out. It just blows my mind. But even I, just because it's been almost 20 years, had kind of forgotten until I went back and really looked. There was actually quite a few changes made heading into Total Warfare, even outside of the infantry and vehicles that were radically redone. There was a fair number of tweaks made. And we've kind of forgotten that. Right.
Yeah.
So the new rule book, which we don't have a name for yet, the new rule book is very much in that same vein, that it'll be a Total Warfare level of changes. So the vast majority of the game stays the exact same. I will say that there are a few things that we're looking at, like the possibility of removing those side tables. They probably would be the biggest changes that have ever been made in Battletech, but it's still a small, thin slice of the total experience in Battletech. And part of the reason for doing these playtesting is because we want to ensure that they work, and then the majority of players really love what we're doing. The side tables might not happen. That's the whole point of doing these public playtests.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of amazing because when I did Total Warfare, that was back when the community was a fraction of the size of what we have now. It was all on forums and little subreddits and local playtesting. So what we were able to do playtesting compared to what we're able to do playtesting now, it's order of magnitudes bigger.
Yeah.
And now, because of the explosion of the internet, because of all of these, where Battletech is at now and how many people are playing, hundreds of thousands of players, it gives us this opportunity to playtest these changes at a scale that Battletech's never had in the past. So it's actually really incredible. Like the packet 3, I think just dropped on Monday. And then there's a 4th packet as well as a coming battlefield support aerospace packet. And so, yeah, I mean, on the whole, I think they've been very well received, and we're continuing to work on it. It's awesome to be able to run this scale, and really get the feedback from the community. We've like I said, Battletech's never been able to do that before.
No.
So
for me as a player who don't play this long and don't know the changes, it would be nice if I can know on which Total Warfare version are out there. So I talked to someone who played this 20 years. So it could be other rules than I know. And so if I can make a wish, please, when you make a new version, make it 2.0 or whatever. So I know that's the version that's the state of the art.
Well, usually, like every single printing of Total Warfare has an edition, or has a 8th printed edition and 9th printed edition on the credits page.
Yeah.
So it should do that. Just like I believe I saw down on for the Alpha Strike tournament, it noted this, so we'll use the 7th printing of the rulebook. So usually we do try and incorporate that in there. Yeah.
Okay, great. It's only for the Total Warfare, so for Classic. Will you make a rewrite for Alpha Strike?
We have plans on, and I don't know if we've said this publicly, so maybe Ray won't get upset at me. But yes, the current plan is a new Alpha Strike rulebook will be coming in the next year or two. The plan will be this next year, Gen Con is the new rulebook.
Yeah.
And then once the playtesting is done for this new rulebook, we'll then spin up a year's worth of playtesting for Alpha Strike.
No.
And the nice thing about that one is there's a lot of really great tournaments that are running strong for Alpha Strike.
Yeah.
And so we can work with those communities all over the world to, have them fold in playtesting as part of the events that they are running. So we can have a whole year of just some amazing data to make it the best it can be. And then that'll become a future rulebook. Yeah.
Great. Nice. So, yeah.
While we talk about the Alpha Strike book, at the last half year I began to play Hinterlands with my community, and we'll play that with Alpha Strike, and it's a real nice book. You had time with the translation to get in it, okay, but it's really streamlined and nice. How would you go forward with this campaign books? Because it's a really short timeline you can play, and
do you mean for the Force manuals?
Hinterlands.
Hinterlands.
Oh, Hinterlands. Yes. Yeah, we have another book already being made, Draconis Reach. Hotspots Draconis Reach, which does the same treatment but goes between the House Critter and House Davian border. And then we're just continuing to do that same thing. That the Hinterlands book went over phenomenally well, sold like crazy, which is awesome. A lot of good excitement about that, and so we're just going to continue to do more of those books, allowing you to kind of hop around the inner sphere and choose which sections you want to be in.
Yeah.
Did that hopefully answer the question?
Yeah. When will the next book come?
The
You couldn't tell us.
Draconis
Yeah,
Reach?
yeah.
It should be next year.
Yeah. Cool.
Should be next year.
Great. Done metric.
Yeah, okay. Coming back to the tool side of things,
Okay.
do you or what are your thoughts about supporting a streaming community, like for example people who stream on Twitch or on YouTube for tournaments that are done in Alpha Strike or in Classic? Is there
How would you see us providing support for that?
I don't know, maybe having art packs with logos or anything that can be used to design overlays and stuff like that? And
Oh, so just
maybe-
packages where we would give out a free use these templates.
for example, or support them by maybe making them the official streamer for a specific tournament. For example, for the European Championship, it would be a really nice thing if you had a Twitch channel somewhere where you can point everyone who's not able to come here but still want to watch it, and then you can just say, here, this is the official channel. And is there anything, or have you thoughts about that?
It is the problem with labeling something as official is that means that if it kind of goes off the rails, then that's on us, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to, it doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means that we have to be careful that the people involved, that what they are doing, it just requires more oversight on our side.
Sure.
And so it's more work, it's more time. It also often sometimes can mean less freedom and flexibility on the side of those that are running the streaming.
Yeah.
And so for example, you have the Penny Arcade has been running a Alpha Strike Mech Warrior Destiny campaign. We even coordinated with them to do the Black Remnants Force Pack that we released. But technically, we've never said this is an official thing that is official Battletech, because they want to be able to go off sometimes and do weird, wacky stuff that maybe doesn't quite fit. So we're open to having those discussions. But just be aware that that's part of why there's not a lot of official attached out there, just because it requires a lot more time and effort, and the guidelines are a lot tighter, and often people don't want that, right? They want to be looser, they want to do more crazy and wild things that really wouldn't be appropriate within what is an official thing.
Yeah, understood. Well, maybe there's a possibility to have some cooperations, but because you said there are a lot of people playing Alpha Strike, there are a lot of tournaments, and it's an explosion of people who are actually interested in it.
Yeah.
And maybe there would be a possibility to do cooperations, maybe not with the official stamp, but just like a cooperation to stream such an championship like this one.
Yeah.
To show what the community does.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
not on you. You only give a window to for the community to show what they does themselves, and others to watch, to get ideas, and
Yeah, absolutely.
Would be
to get in contact. Yeah.
So that would be another one.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to remember this anyways, but put that in an email and I can take that over to our events coordinator, and see, is there a way to kind of thread that needle? Meaning it's not necessarily us creating a whole bunch of official support, but instead you're coming to us and then we're simply boosting the signal, right? We're just making all of the communities aware, hey, they're doing this event.
Yeah.
You guys may want to just watch this.
I'm
I
actually not
think
a
that's-
streamer, so it's not
yeah.
for me. But
Oh no,
I was
sure.
just-
It's
I was just thinking, for example, when we have the official, no, sorry, again that word. If there's the European Alpha Strike Championship or Classic, that would be perfect if there would be a stream.
Yeah.
Of someone who is commenting on it.
Yeah.
And you being here having a commentary on it.
Yeah.
On the stream, that would be kind of an official touch because you are here.
Yeah.
And still, it would be a personal thing of the streamer who's doing it.
Yeah.
So something like that would
Yeah.
be awesome, I think.
Absolutely. We can take a look at that. I have no problem having that discussion and seeing what we might be able to work out.
Cool. Great. So, my next question is, is there planning for new computer games, PC games like Battletech von HBS, or we know that PGI, MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, Clans, they are working still on it. So, are there plans for other games?
I'm not aware, as far as I'm aware, the only ones continuing to work on the computer games are PGI. They did that drop yet? They had a new expansion, the Ghost Bear expansion, which I think is out.
Yes.
And then had they announced? I know they're working on another one. I can't quite remember if they announced
I think that
it or
one is
not.
also out already.
Is it already out?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Which
they made a new for the Mercenaries.
Shadow of Kerensky.
Yeah, Shadows of Kerensky.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't think they've announced it yet, and I don't have the right to. I can announce our stuff all I want if I want to. They are working on another expansion after that, so they're continuing to do that. That I'm aware, no one else is working on other computer games. I'm actually incredibly grateful that that PGI is still doing a great job.
Yeah.
I loved the clans. I just thought it was fantastically done. Voice acting was great.
Yeah.
In fact, me and my team, my son and his friends had played through it, and we were just talking about. If there was one small critique, I wish it had been a little more difficult. But when you're trying to get Hohiro off before they on Edo, that was a fantastic mission. It was great to see it. But outside of that, it's nothing else is going on. But we're all here for the long haul. And it always comes in cycles. There was a good 10 to 15 years where absolutely nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And then suddenly PGI came along. Well, let me be clear, MechWarrior Online was there the whole time, but there wasn't a lot going on, right? It was that one style.
Yeah.
And then suddenly MechWarrior 5 comes out, so you got MechWarrior Online, you've got MechWarrior 5 and all those expansions, and PGI's Battletech game was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't have any say in that because that part of the license we have no control over whatsoever. They were usually really good at trying to work together. So the team at Piranha does a fantastic job of coming to Ray and the team and saying, hey, here's the lore that we want to do. What do you think? And then we comment on it. But we just don't have any ability to go, I would love to, press play and get another Battletech version. Or my dream would be to have Stellaris meets Europa Universalis, right? Like some crazy Succession Wars style game. That would be, I could lose a month of my life, I think, to play that. But yeah, so I'm not aware of anything else going on, but again, very grateful Piranha is still giving us some really cool expansions.
At this point, more for the fun, when did you know anything when we will get the Battletech movie or the Netflix series?
Oh, that's complicated. Well, the first answer is, once again, that's part of the license that we don't own. So for those who are actually curious, almost any long-lasting IP, it gets complicated, right? Parts of it get sold and cut up. So in, I think it was 99, FASA Interactive Technologies, which was a company that Jordan and Ross had made as sister companies to FASA to make games, and that was sold, or to make computer games, that was sold off to Microsoft. So Microsoft owns the electronic gaming rights to everything Battletech and Shadowrun related, and they still own it to this day. The movie rights then are currently owned by a company called Tornante, and that was, you know, because it was owned by Topps, and then the license Topps was WizKids, then Topps. It's now owned by Fanatics. It's this whole complicated skein. So ultimately, we have no say or input on anything like that. I myself have read, I think, 3 different movie treatments, one of which was actually pretty good, and it went nowhere. That being said, the reason why it's never happened, and this is me putting together a supposition. I don't know, but I think my supposition is really accurate, which is Hollywood likes to be able to sign one thing, and they like to then have it all, right?
Yeah.
And with the contract divided up amongst multiple companies, that makes it complicated, and lawyers don't like complicated. And I think that's one of the biggest parts. Could you ever get it all unified together? Once again, I don't know if that's possible, because companies at the scale of Microsoft, they never sell anything off. They don't need to. It's better to just sit on it and not let somebody else make money off of it, unfortunately. So I would love to see that. Once again, I've talked with like 2 or 3 Netflix executives, and we've talked about that both Battletech and Shadow would make amazing animated series or movies, whatever you want.
There's so much.
And there's so much, and it doesn't happen. And so the only consolation, because of course, who doesn't want an amazing Battletech movie, right? The only consolation I have is that it's always a terrible roll of the dice of whether it will actually be good or not. And instead we might get, you know, the Halo TV series, which was terrible beyond belief.
Or anything that happened to Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there, well, so I would argue not, boy, we could fall down that rabbit hole. I think there is a few amazing pieces of new Star Wars work. Like I think Andor is phenomenal. There's a whole pile of
Yes.
just awful stuff, right? And so that's always the gamble. And so really, of course, I still want the movie badly, but I console myself with the fact, yeah, but it could be terrible. So that's a long-winded way of trying to say, because everyone asks it, because of course we all want it, but I kind of have to tell a little bit of the story about why it's so complicated and why it's really hard to see it happen. And I just don't know, because of all of that, if it ever really will.
No.
I just know some of them, what you told, but I think at this point, if I wouldn't ask, we would be asked, why wouldn't you ask?
Literally everywhere I went, all over the world, that was one of the questions. I totally get it.
So we could visit.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
On that note, did you see the Hired Steel animated?
Yeah,
series?
absolutely.
What do you think about those?
I loved them.
Yeah.
No, they were
Enough said.
Yeah, no, fantastic. There might have been a little tear as I'm like, oh, if only we can do this. We're right there. The technology exists. No, they did a great job.
Yeah,
really loved them.
Great. So, please hold the line. Hello and welcome back. Our device, the card was full, so I saved what we talked now, and I make new batteries in, and we have a clean memory card. I just take another look because I don't trust my device. Yeah, so it looks fine. So my question was, in the US, after 75 years, the copyright and not the copyright is gone, and but Microsoft, like, or the other company, still hold the license. And do you know how long it will be till the 75 years are over?
Well, I mean, we just celebrated 40 years, so
okay.
35 more. But yeah, there's a difference between the ownership of the copyright and then the protection of the copyright.
Yeah.
And at the end of 75 years, unless you have interesting ways to kick the can further downstream and get yourself a couple more years, it then falls into common usage. And anyone can then be able to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could live to be that old, but who knows? Luckily, that is far future me's problem. And
Yeah.
so for now, we'll just have to deal with the fact that Microsoft owns that and Tornante owns the movie and television rights, and we'll just keep making and having awesome tabletop games.
Yeah. We all hope that Catalyst will gather all the license back together, but
That would be a dream.
yeah.
It'd just be a dream.
All right. You have another question.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about something I was wondering about for a couple of years, actually. It is obvious that it is an accepted fact that fans are using a lot of assets from Battletech, like pictures, like, faction logos and Mac pictures and everything for creating websites and maybe things like this. Can you talk about that? Is there a problem in any way concerning copyright stuff or anything that comes to mind for you about that?
It's as always, it's a little complicated. The copyright laws in the US, they tend to work in a way that if you are aware that somebody is violating the copyright, then you must pursue that copyright. And you must protect it. So it kind of forces you to be proactive. And so there are other companies in our industry. They're, shall we say, known for being much more strident in trying to stop people from doing that. I try really hard, Catalyst tries hard not to go that far. If you look at the example of, say, Lucasfilm and Disney, there was a good decade or more when they'd sue everyone under the sun the second somebody put a website up. And they finally came around to a point where, unless you're trying to make money off of it, or you're just being really terrible with how you're using it, the strength that the community gives to each other through the use of that, those type of images in websites and paraphernalia for conventions and merch and all that it's far better for the community to be able to do that. And so, it's very rare that we come out and have to tell somebody you can't do that. It's really the dividing line is, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to start making money off of it. I'm going to start making money off of it. Then we need to look at, well, either you can't do that or you have to have a license to be able to do that. Outside of that, if you're just making it for yourself, then you're all good. It's not going to be a problem about it.
I'm sure a lot of people like that answer. Because I know a lot of people who do like fan web pages of a specific clan or for a specific faction, and they use tons of images and stuff.
Yep. And again, we, by the absolute letter of the law, we probably shouldn't allow that. But again, we believe strongly in how much that allows the community to feel enmeshed and empowered to be a part of it and help others be a part of it. And so it's just really important to figure out a way to draw a careful line, and push it way up next to that line for us, which is you can't make money off of it unless you're an official license.
Yeah.
And if you're out on that other side, then awesome, go to town, make fun stuff.
That's great.
It helps to keep the community alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been wondering because I had a website up and I was always wondering, is that kind of legal what I'm doing here? Because I do not own any of the license, copyright or whatever. But I have the feeling that many people in the community just are testing the waters, nothing happens, and then they continue doing it because it's, it helps the community, and that's fun.
Understood.
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that. Okay, I have two more.
Okay, then I will have a small one. There's an alternative Battletech rule set. Also, it was known as Destiny. I just forgot the new name.
Backwards?
No, he's
Never
talking
heard of
about
it, yes.
Override.
Override. Yeah, Destiny Override. Do you know it?
I vaguely know that name. Do you know who made it? From the Cobalt. Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they make the small child of Total Warfare and Alpha Strike. And my question is, do you think or do you ever planned about it to make it an official third rule book? Or
We've thought about it because you will. I have run into people around the world in the tour that I did that are like, Battletech's too much, Alpha Strike's too little. I want to just right in the middle. And so we've had those conversations. And to date, we've kind of felt like it mixes the pot. It mixes things up. It muddles it a little too much if they're too close.
No.
And right now, we don't seem to have any problem with people playing games, with people grabbing the rule books and the new plastic bottles. So I'm not going to say never, but we don't have any current plans to try to do a middle ground rule set.
Okay. Plan.
Okay, sorry. Something I wanted to ask also for a very long time. I would be interested in how would you describe the process of developing the main story of Battletech? How does that work?
Very chaotic. Usually what ends up happening, and this started way back in mid-facet years, usually what will happen is every 3 to 4 years, all of the line developer along with the top novelists will all get together for a weekend, and everyone will have come in kind of reacquainting themselves to storylines and everything that's gone before. Often the line developer will have developed a whole bunch of plot threads that they want to see happen. And then we literally lock ourselves in some rooms for like 2 straight days of, 12, 18-hour days sliding pizza under the door. And like the last one we were at, there was maps all over the door. There was probably 200 sticky notes that were constantly, this character being moved into this storyline or into this storyline. And so it's really a kind of a free form brainstorming of all these creative people crafting what we want to see happen. And then coming out of that, the line developer will then generate a big set of documents. Hey, this is what we agreed to. But really that plan then never survives contact with the enemy. Like I would say 60% of that plan will end up being what transpires over the next few years. But just the nature of once, we'll have a line that's literally, okay, we've got this storyline novel right here. And then the novel's written. And when the novel's actually written, some of the things that happen, you're like, oh, this is way cooler because it went a little bit up here and that's going to bridge over here. So that's going to change this whole line. And oh my gosh, that's great. That's a new whole direction that we didn't think of in that meeting. And so you always want to be flexible to allow the novelists to not feel completely shackled, right? Like they're painting within certain lines, but they still get a fair amount of freedom, and that freedom can allow them to create things that suddenly adjust. And so then, once again, 3 or 4 years will go by and you'll do the same thing. We'll all get together and we'll see how much did we shatter and not use at all, and how much can we put back together. And so it's been that way, like I said, since the first one that I'm aware of, I think was in 93 or 94, right before I started. And then in 96, I was at the second one, right after I got hired. And really the reason they had the first one is because they did the Clan Invasion. They did the Blood of Kerensky trilogy. It was awesome. Everyone's having a great time. And they had kind of painted themselves into a corner of, well, then what do we do now? Right? Like, where did we go? And so for those that like were fans reading that material, there was almost a 5-year gap when very little large scale happened. because they had planned the clan invasion. And then once that was done, it actually took them a while to realize, wait a second, we're painted in a corner. How do we get out of that? And then part of getting out of that was the whole Twilight of the Clan series that then was developed in like 95. And then the first novel started coming out in 97 or 98 for the Twilight of the Clan series. And so, and again, that's just kind of a natural up and down of these. So if, anyone who loves reading all the Star Wars novels or all the Star Trek novels, any of these big, huge shared universes, you'll see times when there's weird down times that like not a lot seems to be happening, or some novels will come out and you'll be like, wow, that didn't seem quite connected as well as it should have been. And some of that is just the nature of dealing with this gigantic thing that we've created. And you have all these very passionate people working on it. And that means sometimes it just doesn't go quite the way you wanted it to. And sometimes it goes fabulously well. So that was a very long-winded answer, but hopefully hopefully that shows you just how it's kind of really chaotic, but then you can create some really cool things out of it and how that's done.
Kind of reminds me of how I developing things.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's really what almost everyone does.
Yes.
In any type of setting.
And it's very interesting because you said that when the clans came in, there was this gap and people thought, wait a minute, what are we going to do with it now?
Yeah.
We had this discussion in one of the previous podcasts also, where people said, well, if the clans would have continued the way they were described in the first 3 books, they would have gone straight to Terra without any opposition because they were too good. And so they had to be written down a bit. And you had the feeling in the coming novel, in the following novels, that they were desperately, or the authors were desperately trying to write them back a little so that there's something. Yeah.
Okay.
So I read that correctly.
You read it correctly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can read. I love the clans. I mean, the Noah Cats. I love them to death. I've written them plenty of times. Right. Lots of love there. But there were so many things done for the clans from a story perspective that were fantastic, but from a game perspective were terrible.
Yes.
Right. So for example, like the double names. When you're reading Lethal Heritage and you're reading the whole, he names it a Mad Cat, and then it switches back over and you find out that it's a Timberwolf. And like that was so cool and felt very realistic, right? Like think back in World War II when both sides were naming the other tank their own thing, and then you didn't know what it was called until sometime later, right? So it's very authentic. But what it means is that then you have 2 names for every single unit out there. And if you're bringing new players in, it confuses them to death. Yeah. 30 years later, and we still deal with people totally confused.
Wait until you get the German translation of that.
No, for us, there were 4 names.
Yeah, so that's even worse, right?
Yeah.
And so there's basically 7 data points that make up a weapon. And you could have taken 4 of those data points and tweaked them and made them really powerful. And instead they took all 7. Yeah. And not only did they make them really powerful, but in some things they just, we're just going to double the range. Why not? Right. And so what that then creates is, again, it created a situation where the flavor didn't exactly match the mechanics. Mm-hmm. So when Brian and I developed the heavy, large lasers that were in the Field Manual Crusader clans, that were really close weapons that did tons of damage close, that was kind of our homage to what we felt the clan should be. Honorable, single combat right in your face. As opposed to, I remember when 3058 came out, and it had the Fire Falcon B. So here's the Fire Falcon that walks 8 and has 2 large lasers on it, so 25 hex range with a targeting gear. 75% of heavy and assault, throw the assault mechs out there. 75% of all the heavy mechs don't run faster than 8. And that's, at that time, we were playing with rolling maps. So if you're moving, you're going to put out another map. And then I realized the Fire Falcon could just walk backwards and just kill anything. You would never be, the entire initiative force would never catch it, and it would just slice you up. And that was just the antithesis of everything the clan stood for. And so there's always been this interesting disconnect between the mechanics side of how it was done and the flavor side that haven't ever really meshed very well, I think, in my head. Now, obviously, the game's doing fantastic right now. We're still here 4 years later. But it's just, again, to my mind, it still comes back to when you're creating a shared, large game, large universe, you're just going to run into these times when things don't quite all work together.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of, a beast like this.
Yeah, yes, still have a lot of people running around saying everything before the clan is Battletech, and then I just fade out and don't want to know about that. They're all around. So, I'm not.
So it's another feeling. Yeah. So I will say, and I have run into that as well. The question I always get. So right after when is a movie ever going to happen? The next question is, what is your favorite mech? And then the next one's, what's your favorite era you like to play in? And luckily, I love it all. Whatever era, it's the era that I throw some dice on the table and am playing. I think each of them bring very different styles and different fun and things to enjoy. But ultimately, at the same time, we have this giant, huge universe. And if you want to play just in the Succession Wars, awesome. There's a million mechs to buy and enjoy. We try and still support that with source books and novels every now and then that touch on these various eras. I personally think you're missing out on some fun that other eras bring, but each of us are going to find that thing that we enjoy the most, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What's really fun that you can play with Succession Wars mechs in the newest era. I also mostly played Succession Wars. I really liked but the old tin mechs. I mostly liked the Succession Wars designs, and I didn't get into the clan era, and then also because there are so many mechs I didn't really like. That was a point for me. The miniatures that I didn't get into to play, and this changed for me with the new plastic miniatures, and now I start to play in the newest era. And mostly with Alpha Strike, because it shuts the complexity down, and you can play there with your old mechs. Because I went to the European Championship and make my list in this era for Alpha Strike, and I get all my old mechs because I wanted to play with painted mechs, and grab the new variants, and so that was really cool in Battletech that the miniatures could be used. Yeah, you lost some, and there can plenty new, but that's cool.
No, that was a huge kudos to Ray, because that was his. Ray Rust is the current Battletech line developer, and he was the one that came up with the idea in the rec guides to make sure that, in addition to the new mechs that always come along, that we're putting modern era variants that exactly match the weapon configurations of the mechs from the Succession Wars and the Clan Invasion. And we have heard that over and over again. The number of people that are now playing in the new era because it felt good that they could take this mech they've had forever and pull this thing over and go, oh, what's this new stuff? And still feel like it invited them into play instead of you must go buy the new thing. And so, huge kudos to Rick for that.
Yeah, you saw I bought a lot, but they hardly needs paint.
We all have our piles of shame.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or as one of my friends, Jared, he's like, I don't know, piles of opportunity.
Yeah.
That's much better.
Yeah. It's just piles to play with.
That's right. It's piles fully win.
Will there be new plushies?
Yes. Actually, we the company that made the previous ones, it's just been really difficult to try and get new ones out. And there's actually very few companies that make plushies, as many as there's like billions in the world, it feels like. There's just not a lot of companies that do it. But we are absolute negotiations with them. We want to do some clan mechs because I really need a clan plushie. But yeah, those will absolutely be coming.
Also the catapult?
I can't tell you which mechs yet. I can just tell you that more are coming.
Okay. So he will write in his mail that you should do catapult.
I really like doing stuff for the convention house, and also I need anytime I need phones. Is there actual Battletech phones like the actual Battletech signing with the A, and there's an old Battletech font that you can find.
Oh, I don't think it's an actual font. I think it was created.
Yeah.
So the Battletech that we're currently using was actually made by Harebrained Schemes for the Battletech game.
Yeah.
And it was so fantastic that we just took it and adopted it. And I don't believe that is its own unique, its own font that we purchased. It was something that was created. And so you're just asking, could we put out some digital assets that people could use, including that logo? Is that what you're asking? Add that to the email that you're sending to me. I will follow up with the appropriate people. I don't see why we couldn't do that, but I'll need to ask some questions of some people, and we can do that.
I built for myself. I built some more letters that looks like the same font.
Yeah.
To get other words with the same feeling.
Yeah.
And but it's that's a lot to do. And if there would be a font, it would be great.
I will ask. That's a great question.
Great. Yeah, I have one last one actually off my list. You know that the people in Battletech are incredibly enthusiastic and they love the whole franchise and everything. And there are a lot of events going on. People organize like cons like this, but also tournaments like 2 versus 2 things, whatever. Also online with MechWarrior Online and different games, not only tabletop. Of course, there are also blood name tournaments. For example, in MechWarrior Online, we organized a couple of those. And there's always this discussion, controversy, no, whatever that word is. When is a blood name a real blood name? Is it official? Is it certified? Can I actually use that name? Or is that a false name or a correct one, an official one, whatever? This discussion is going on forever. Do you have an answer to that?
I don't off the top of my head, because I'm not sure. I've recently had that discussion with Ray to see if he has a new set of rules that he applies to that. Add that to the email list.
All right.
And I will discuss with Ray and see if we can't come up with a definitive answer that we could actually publish and let people know. Because yes, it actually has been messy and chaotic for decades.
It seems like you have to make a new meeting to discussing your answers.
Oh, that's going to be PhoenixCon next year. And coming along.
But I heard something that there are CGL agents that are, certifying those tournaments or the results.
I believe that is the case, but once again, that's one step beyond what I really deal with day to day.
Okay.
And so I can follow up and get those questions answered.
All right. Okay. So that was all on my list, actually.
Okay, I have a few more. So will you sell mechs already painted in the future? As some
we are playing around with doing a full force pack that's all pre-painted. I think we've decided we're going to do that. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, putting the single pre-paintings in the 4 Star League boxes was just a total experiment to see how it would go. So far, it's gone over wonderfully well. And so, yeah, we want to play around with that. At the same time, we want to be very careful because we know how much the community loves painting. And so, you know, for example, the first 2 mechs that we painted already had those models out.
Hmm.
And then the last 2 were new models that hadn't been released yet. And so then we're going to release those unpainted models in the near future. So there's always kind of a balance between, there's some people that love to buy the pre-painted, but plenty of people that want to be able to paint.
Hmm.
And so there's always a balance between those. But absolutely, we're looking at doing a full force pack, all pre-paints, and see what happens.
Oh, great. Okay. There was a Battletech era, got the name right, the dark times, where new figures where you can with wheels under the mechs. Was it Dark Times?
Dark Age?
Dark Age, not Dark Times,
Yes.
Dark Age. So, are you planning something to do with that, or kind of?
No, because all of those, the click base,
Yes.
and the wheel and all of that is actually copyrighted by WizKids.
Mhm.
They own that. So then we would have to go and work with them. And so far we just haven't felt the need for that. Again, it seems like we can barely keep up with what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And unlike some of the previous areas, like the Jahan, the Dark Age was very well covered in novels. So that doesn't mean that every shrapnel almost has a Dark Age story, and we're still touching on the story side. But I don't think we have any desire to go back to have some type of releases with the clip bases at all.
Okay. Do you know the Mega Mech, the PC program?
Yep.
Do you play it? Do you like it? Or
I have played it, yes. I have some friends of mine from clear back in high school that have been playing almost every week in a campaign for like years at this point. I'm really lucky in that my kids play Battletech, and I have a player group around me, and so whenever I want to play Battletech, it's pretty easy to just sit at the table. But I have used it. It's very cool for what it does, absolutely.
Oh, great. So, what is your project in the Battletech universe? What you love the most?
Ooh, goodness. I mean, it's a couple of things. One, those meetings where we, lock all of us together in a room for a couple of days, and it's just us bringing all of our passion for this universe, all the creative ideas that we have in our head, and then literally sometimes almost yelling at each other. No, you're wrong. My idea is better. And figuring out how to get through all of that to come out the other side with a really cool story, and being able to look back and see those moments with, the entire Twilight of the Clan series, and then the various eras. That is just one of the best experiences that I have. I think another thing that I find really amazing is that, I've been doing this longer than almost anyone else has ever worked on this game. There's a few novelists that are longer than I am, Stackpole, for example. But so far as being on the other side, on the game development side, there's no one that can do as long as I have. And so to still sit here and still be able to do a new thing in the universe that allows players to experience it in a new way, that's incredibly exciting to me. So, for example, when the Battlemech manual was published, the battlefield support rules that are in that, I was able to go in and draft those because I had seen so many players that are like, I love the idea of combined arms, but I just don't want to pull out all the record sheets and all the extra rules for vehicles and infantry. And then basically Alpha Strike showed that you could have all that really well in a combined arms aspect, but they wanted it in a classic Battletech. And so the battlefield support rules were that vision. And then the latest one is actually ACEs, which is there's there's been plenty of RPGs, board game RPGs, like say Gloomhaven, that have an incredibly good AI system that you solely or cooperatively are playing against. There's been a couple of tabletop miniature games that are okay, but there's never been one that's just phenomenal in my mind. And so to be able to bring that experience not only to Battletech, but what might just, you know, talking with pure hyperbole here, might be able to actually change tabletop miniature play completely, as hopefully we're bringing in a whole new crowd of people that have only ever played board games. And I've always wanted to try tabletop miniature games, but it's always pretty intimidating. And because most board games, the most successful board games of the last decade or even 2 decades have all been co-op.
No.
And so then like versus is icky, which personally I don't understand, because I love slaying my enemies across the table, right? But most people really like the co-op. And so this idea that an incredibly well-crafted AI engine and a co-op play, suddenly we might have a whole pile of board game players playing Battletech, that just blows my mind, right? That just makes me smile. And so 30 years on, I can still be a part of bringing something like that out. That's just magical to me.
Actually, there was a Kickstarter not a while ago that they just kickstart this idea.
Where what for who?
I had to,
Okay.
to look, but
I'll have to go on.
yeah, they got small magnets with chips and a camera. You use a camera upside the battlefield, and with the chips they already know where the miniatures are, and then you can move it, and they say it go to this location.
So I'll have to hunt that out. I have yet to see a digital merging of tabletop miniature games or war games that really works. Most of them end up just not feeling very good.
No.
And so then they die. There's been quite a few games that have tried it. It'd be amazing if somebody actually managed to pull it off. So I'll have to go hunt for that.
I don't know if they finished it. I just saw the price and said, okay, I want it, but at the moment I don't have the money. And then I forgot about it till now.
Yeah, I think ultimately there's nothing inherently bad with trying to create a digital merger into the board games, but I think too often they're missing the point. Like there was a Arkham Horror app, which is, I don't know if you guys have played Arkham Horror. It's a giant board game, and the app just helped you keep track of things. So it actually was pretty useful. I've used it, right? But too often they're trying to replace parts of the board game or the tabletop miniature experience that is the whole reason I'm at the table, right? Don't take my dice away from me. Like the physiological, like, rubbing the dice and hearing them hit the table, that's part of why we're here, right? Don't take that away. And so too often they remove what is part of the whole reason why we play these games. And when you do that, I think is when they fail.
That's what you sometimes has the feeling or a reaction from players who plays Mega Mech. They say, "Oh, the rolling of the dice was so bad and so hard." And then I said, "Did you mention our last board game? Well, just our last Battletech round. What happened there? There was so absolute much stories about worse or lucky dices. It comes also when you play it on the board. But on Mega Mech you play much faster, and you get more of this incomes in a shorter time. I think that's stranges the feelings, but it's nothing so different. It's sometimes feels.
Well, it's really fascinating because think back over the last 10 stories of a game, not Battletech, some other game, that you told to somebody else, family, friend, another gamer, and how many of those were victories and how many of those were failures. And having talked with a ton of people and asked this question everywhere, almost everyone are like, yeah, it's mostly if I did really well. I'm not going to tell them when I did bad. And I'm like, okay, now switch that to Battletech. And how many times do you share a story and it's actually in the crazy defeat that you most often tell the story? And most of the time it's in the crazy defeat. And it's actually one of the things that makes, I think, Battletech really unique in that it tells a story every time you roll the dice. And often the best stories that you love are those unbelievable defeats, right? You walk on and the crazy BB straight into the Atlas with the floating crit, 3 engines dead, first turn, right? And any other game, right? They're like flipping the table, they're stomping away. And don't get me wrong, we all can get a little mad at Battletech, but most of the time we're just laughing our heads off and then telling that story over and over again, right? And that's just kind of amazing to me that there's something about that shared story that happens when rolling dice in Battletech, which is why it's, 4 years later and I'm sitting here in Germany talking to you guys about this, because it's just phenomenal. And the way it builds communities and has us all being here together.
No. I don't know if you know Descent 2, the latest version of the Descent board game.
Yeah.
They made an companion app.
Yeah.
And we played it, and it was really nice because it don't take anything away and only add the part more infos digital.
Yeah.
But I have everything on the board. My miniatures, the enemies, the trees, everything. And I think they did a really good job to add the extra so that you can play a co-op and don't have a dungeon master like a decent one.
Yeah, absolutely. That can be made to work.
Yeah.
But again, that's still not a tabletop miniature game. I'm not sure I've ever seen a tabletop miniature game bring the digital side in a way that actually works. And maybe someday somebody will figure it out. But there's something about just moving the models and pulling your string or the laser out, right? It's just such a visceral feeling that you want the physicality. If I'm playing digital, I can go play Skyrim all the time, or in this case, everybody seems about Battletech.
Yeah. Okay.
One other point.
Yeah.
How do you play city maps?
How do I play city maps?
When you use Battletech, go you strict with the hexes? So a building has a full hex, or we use it sometimes, but we make the watch lines the buildings are painted on the maps, fritted on the maps.
I've done it every which way. It's almost like the combined arms that I was just talking about with Battle Force. I love the idea of playing on Battletech maps with buildings. The implementation of playing with buildings often is so time consuming to track damage at every hex that I usually just kind of sidestep it, or they're all Castle Bryan hexes, so nothing can be destroyed. No, I've printed out like the buildings that are on our city maps. I have giant tubs filled with those ridiculously giant buildings, and you put it down there and it looks awesome. But to actually interact with them and blow hexes up and stuff, it's one of the parts that is just really hard to do. Yeah.
And the point was, how did you use the line of sight? You have also two options. You can set only the building, like it's printed, blocks a line of sight, or the full hex.
Oh, sorry. We do the full hex.
The full hex.
Yeah. Because if you do only the building, my reasoning is, well, then why are you not doing that for tree hexes? And so for me, it's like it's considered to be filled the hex, and that's part of the little idiosyncratic parts of Battletech.
Okay. The size of the miniatures, are they now especially the size between the mechs, are they now
the real different size, or do you plan something that the Atlas is much, much bigger than the Locust or something?
No, when we were doing these new plastics that came out starting in 2018, I think, a lot of time and effort went into locking down, this is what the size is, this is what the scale, and doing the sizes all the way up at each tonnage. And then as each one comes out, it's carefully slotted in, like they'll do the dimensions and the volumetrics, and then even when all of that's done and the STL is done, and we'll then drop it in between the mechs where it's supposed to be in a set of renders of the mechs, just as one final look to go, no, I think it needs to be just a little bigger, a little smaller. So no, a lot of effort goes into trying to scale those exactly right.
Oh, great. I've got two more questions from my co-hosts. One is when you do the next law meeting, it would be nice if you make the German podcast Battlepod something in game.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, he will write it in the mail. Okay, and then the last question is, what is your future vision of Battletech, or how do you see Battletech in like 10 years?
That is a great question. So at the when we launched the Mercenaries Kickstarter at Adepticon 18 months ago, 18 months, 24? Anyways, when we launched the Mercenaries Kickstarter at Adepticon, and we just...
And this time again, the card was empty. I'm really, really sorry. But it was the last question, and his answer was clearly good vision. His vision is when someone came into a gaming store, he looked for something for a kid, and he knows like Star Wars or Star Trek or tabletop Warhammer, is that he not only knows these traits, but he knows Battletech as well. So Battletech is one of the biggest brands on the earth. Yes. I'm really sorry that the card was empty again. I checked it too late. Just after this question, I was gonna say goodbye to you, so I have to do it now. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry for my English. And we will make a follow-up podcast with Randall. We talked about that. He said yes. And we will add it to our mail. So, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking your time and hear this podcast with Randall. If you have any questions or something else, just tell us and we'll see what we can do. So, have a good night, have a good day and evening, and till next time. And now something in German. So, ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Es tut mir leid, dass die SD-Karte leider schon wieder leer war. Die ist 30 Sekunden später oder eine Minute später was mitbekommen habe. Jetzt hätten wir das dann danach aufgezeichnet. Sah aber ganz gut aus. Auf jeden Fall, es war ein sehr schönes Gespräch mit Randall. Insgesamt die PhoenixCon war auch schön. Da würden wir aber noch eine extra Folge drüber machen. Fragen, Wünsche, Anregungen, ganz normal, könnt ihr euch uns wieder zukommen lassen. Ansonsten noch eine Info, wir hatten jetzt leider ein paar technische Probleme auf der Website. Die sollten jetzt gelöst worden sein. Ich danke euch alle für die Aufmerksamkeit, für eure Zeit, die ihr genommen habt. Falls ihr sagt, okay, hier, ihr wollt noch was in den Hut werfen, dass wir uns ein besseres Mikrofon für außen holen können, als das, was wir jetzt benutzt haben, oder auch für den einen oder anderen von uns ein neues Mikrofon besorgen können, gerne Patreon, Steady oder uns auch so anschreiben. Ich danke euch alle für die Aufmerksamkeit und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.
Inspection successful.
Well, everybody, this podcast has been terminated. But rest assured, the Battletech podcast will be back.
Shutting down.